recording all these things. Audio and the presenter screen. Okay, perfect. It's recording my screen as well. Okay. So today, guys, mostly we'll try to cover all these the first steps. That is basically installing a basic Cloudera cluster, wherein we'll perform a setup of local repository. We'll check what are the basic requirements before installing a Cloudera cluster. Then we'll install a Cloudera Manager server and agents, and then we'll try to cover up the CD installation part. But first of all, let me just brief you something about what this all Cloudera. You guys can hear me, right? Can we have a little acknowledgement first?
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So basically, when Hadoop was developed, it was made open source and it was made available for anybody to install it, use it in any way that is possible in under the Apache license. So the initial development and the initial availability of Hadoop was by Apache, and it was all open source. Later on, the Cloudera and the Hortonworks were the two main organizations that put in some more efforts and made it a little more stabilized by providing their own support and their own development intelligence to it, and that's how these two organizations come into force. Recently, these two organizations have finally merged into a single one. So it's more of a major thing wherein the Cloudera you can consider as acquiring the Hortonworks, because in the coming releases we won't be having any Hortonworks specific HDP embaris you must have heard about in terms of Hadoop. So in the coming releases there would be no such releases of Hortonworks, which we generally call as HDPs. So Cloudera is like the basic, the future for Hadoop, if we say. That's why we're going to cover the Cloudera installation part. No, the theoretical stuff related to Hadoop and HDFS and its components and its architecture, we are going to cover in the coming, most probably by the coming week. This week, I'll focus on installation and the practical stuff related to the Cloudera cluster. Okay, so we are going to do all this on AWS. Now, the point we choose AWS for Cloudera is because there is a certain basic requirement when you install a Cloudera management server. It requires a RAM of 8 GB minimum, 8 GB minimum RAM. So I have a cluster. I have a node where I have my system which has a RAM of around 16 GB. But the point is installing a virtual box is going to split it. And if I would be needing more instances, like more nodes of Linux, uh, so it would be a little difficult for my 16 GB system to split them into components wherein one node is of 8 GB and the rest are of at least 4 GB for data nodes. So that's why we chose Amazon Web Services, wherein we can just launch the instances on the cloud, and we just need to connect those instances from our system. Okay. If you guys feel anywhere you are confused or anywhere you want to ask me anything, just pitch in whatever your confusion or doubts are. Okay, I'll be going a little fast, so you'll have to pitch in. Okay, okay. So the basic requirement for getting an AWS account is quite simple. Like you make an account of Facebook or any other social networking site. You must the point here is you have to provide your certain debit card or credit card credentials, because once you start using their instance, they're going to charge you some certain amount of, uh, of money, which is basically hourly based. There is another case wherein you can save a little more money, wherein instances are launched in a way wherein it's time manner, wherein it's most optimized manner in terms of costing. You can search those options as well, but in my demo, I'm going to use the hourly based scenario, which have certain tiers of description, which I'll show you how this is configured. So you just have to log in. You have to create an account, and you have to log in into it. I have created an account here named Start Training with my email ID and stuff, and that's how it all got running. It usually takes 4 to 6 hours for you, or even less, for activating after your account is created, and you can just go on and create instances. So let's just go to the home page of it first. So this is a basic Amazon Web Services Management Console, wherein whichever services you want to create, or whichever services instance you want to create, you can just select it from here. We have a lot of instances. ec2s is basically the Linux. You can like think of it as a Linux server, wherein you specify. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Who's this? I think somebody has left his mute on, like off. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, let's go. Just go ahead. So we have all these services stack available on AWS. EC2s is basically, you can think it of as a Linux instances, wherein you'll have to specify which distribution of Linux. I told you in the last class, right? So we have just as we have distribution for Hadoop in terms of Cloudera and Hortonworks, we have distribution in terms of Linux as well, wherein the distributors are CentOS, RHEL and other distributors, but the major distributors are CentOS and RHEL. So EC2s is basically for the computing power, wherein you can think it of as a Linux machine. If you want to add some more storage or some available other thing, so you have S3 also. So that's something that is out of scope, but you need to know some basic understanding of the AWS as well. You can get more knowledge by like searching more about all these services that you have over here, and you can get yourself started. Okay. For our case of Cloudera installation, I would be needing EC2 instances. So first of all, you have to just go over here. It gives you a dashboard of what all instances you have, any running instances and all. So we just need to first create an instance for our requirement. So we have to click the launch instance tab. The region that I have chosen is Mumbai. For your specific region, you can just select which region you want your instances to be launched. I think one of these four regions would be suitable for you guys. Okay. Now I'll be doing an installation on CentOS distribution, and the version would be 7, the latest 7 version. Now, why did I choose a CentOS 7? So let's just go over that first. So there are certain basic OS requirements for Cloudera installation. Let's just open it right here. Yeah. So when you talk of Cloudera's CDH installation, there are certain versions associated with CDH. So the latest being the CDH 5.16X, wherein X are the like minor releases. 5 is the major release, and there is like the further division of releases is done. And so for 5.16 is the major one, and X wherein they add up any other advancement or enhancement in the X versions and the counting number over that. I'll be doing a 5.15x installation because in the future we might like have time to show you the upgraded part wherein I will be upgrading the 5.15 to 5.16 version. So for the 5.15x supported operating system, and the X part we'll be doing a 5.15.2 version, point 2 or point 3 probably. Let's just check that. So the basic requirement in terms of operating system is when you talk of RHEL or CentOS, you can choose any one of these versions. 7.6 being the latest one of of the CentOS and the RHEL, so probably we are going to use this one. Now to find that particular version, you have to first okay. So you remember we have clicked on this particular thing of EC2. After that, we clicked on launch instance. Now herein we'll have to locate our CentOS. In the community AMINIs, when you click it, you will see certain distributions available to be launched. We have a CentOS pre-cached image base, which might be having certain caching of things, but we don't need that. I am looking for something like base version. So we have a CentOS. It is copied API. Yeah. So I think that could work for us. CentOS 7 base. Let me also copy it. Maximizing my screen. So I think my whole screen is covered. Probably you have to like maximize when you have joined the meeting. Let me just check if I have an option for it. Any other option? Sharing my screen. Yeah, I think it's sharing my complete screen. Okay. No, Baki, no problem. You have a meeting as like the recordings as well. If you think anything is missing, you can just go back to the recording stuff. Let's see if it's recording for us. Yeah, it's recording for us. Okay. Let me copy this CentOS part. So we in the first part we are installing AWS instances of yeah. All right. So you have to click on this when you select it. You have to use a 64-bit version. Now, when we come here, so we have a requirement wherein Cloudera Manager server should minimum have 8 GB RAMs. So considering that part, not as, but you have to consider the other system requirement as well. So 8 GB would be like reserved for the pure Cloudera Manager server itself. In that scenario, you will be needing some more memory when you comes to install some other Cloudera agents or Cloudera daemons as well. So you definitely need something more than 8 GB RAM. So I have different types and versions wherein their CPUs, their memory, and their instance storage type. You don't have to go deep into it. We are concerned with is with the CPUs and the memory, and of course the costing part. So as soon as like you see and scroll it down, you'll see the memory and the CPU increasing, and the network speed, the network performance also increasing. So as soon as you go down, the costing will also increase. So you'll have to choose. Only this version is of the free tier when you like create your account, but the CPUs and the RAM are like not considerably enough. It is suitable for you to practice your Linux stuff, but when it comes to installing a cluster, that's not going to help for to us. So this probably is the most suitable version for us because it gives us a 4 cores and 16 GB RAM. This one we might upgrade in future if we find like our host has a lot of load or something. But currently we are going to use T2.x large with this configurations of CPU and RAM. So it has 4 V cores and 16 GB of RAM. All right. So you have to say select it, then you have to go to configure instance details. So herein we are configuring basically the networking stuff of our particular Linux instance. So when I say networking, so in AWS we have virtual private clouds wherein you can create a VPC that we call, and you can ensure that only the required people you want your instance to get connected to are available, and you can create security groups corresponding to that, which we'll check like in the next session. So over here we have a default VPC group which is like already provided by AWS. You can create a new VPC groups as well if you like you require it, but so currently we have a default one, and over this VPC you can also do a subnetting. So this is basically a networking stuff. You can go detail into it as soon as like you try and install it. and you can get like read more stuff about it. So herein we'll not change anything. We are going to like keep it as it is. Now let's go to the storage part. So storage, on the storage front, is actually giving us the root volume. So when you talk of any Linux server, you have certain volumes or certain directories as you can think of when you talk of your Windows instance. So like over Windows, we have something like downloads folder, music folder, corresponding pictures folders. You can all think of it as a volume when you talk of the Linux system. So herein, and every Linux has a super user that you call root. So also you can have a root volume for it, and we are like mostly going to have everything on the root volume for the current demo session. And let's just use something like 30 GB because it's giving us 30 GB as a free type. You can like in future if you want more space, you can definitely add volumes to like clicking like using like at the time of installation you can add more volumes like this, but in future you can also attach it if you need more space. Okay, so we have taken a size of 30 GB system on the root volume. Let's just add that also for training stuff. 30 GB root volume. Okay. Now, tags is basically for our own reference. So since we are going to have a Cloudera Manager overhead, let's give it a tag of CM, a value of CM1 probably, instances or volume. So it's all going to tag all our instances or volumes to this particular tag. Next is the security groups. So security groups in a virtual private cloud is for your security of your cloud and who you want to, uh, be able to contact your instance. So here in like we have a chance of SSHing using all of the ports, which is not suitable for us because we don't want to make our instance available to all the users. So probably I'm going to use my IP only, so that only so the AWS has detected my IP automatically, and this way our instances will be like secure and can be used by us. If you give it a custom of 000, so 000 is basically a global kind of IP wherein any other system can attach to install. It is also giving a like a warning over here. Rules with 0 allow all IP addresses to access your instance, which is not secure enough. When you talk of a production environment, when you talk of working with organizations, you should always ensure that only specific IPs are allowed to enter your instance. Over here for demo, we are just going to use our own IP. And since we are like also will be needing to open our traffic not on just SSH but also on the browser stuff, so I'm going to take all traffic to my IP only. That is fine with this. Okay. So yeah, T2.x is not free tier, so that's why it's giving us a warning for it. But it's something, it will cost you something like 0.18 dollars per hour when you just talk of launching it. Like when it's just in the running state, if you were gonna make it stop after you use, it won't charge you anything. So okay, so we just verify all the stuffs and get it going. Yeah. So when you like install launch an instance, it will give you like a key pair. So key pair you can think of like a key when you want to SSH or when you want to check anything with your instance. Only the person who has the SSH key can log into the server. Okay. But if you share this key with anyone and if you make that particular security group accessible to all the IPs, then that person can also log into it. So don't try to share it when you are in your organizations, and just keep it with your secure stuff. I already have this key downloaded, but you can download it when you install it. Like when you want to do it, it will give you an option over here to download the access, like the key that you created. Okay. Once this is done, we're gonna launch our instance. So it's saying me that the launch is complete. Let's go to the dashboard. You guys have any doubt in terms of launching instances on EC2? All right, sure. So let's just move ahead and see what is our current instance state. Okay, so this is the particular instance we launched and it's in the running state. It's right now it's showing us initializing, so but we already have a public IP address. So whenever you launch an instance, right, you're going to have two IP addresses. One is the private IP address and the second one is the public. Since you can disassign a public IP address, public IP addresses are only used when you want to SSH or when you want to do like open any URL on your own browser after you are you have security group configured for it. And if you want to disable a public IP addresses, you can also do it from here. The networking stuff, you can change the other IP addresses, manage IP addresses, and you can disown the particular public IP address from here. But right now we're going to need it, so let's just copy the public IP address. I already have the SSH, the training key we talk of at the last section before launching over here. Now let's just SSH over our instance. Right. So how do you SSH over it? So since it's an CentOS version, so the user to SSH would be CentOS, and you need to provide that particular training key.pem that we downloaded before going to the particular server. So something like documents. One second. Training.pem. After that, CentOS user at the rate the server IP, the public IP. You might see over here a private IP also assigned. This is a private IP. All the internal communications when done between the servers will be with this IP on the same VPC, that is a virtual private cloud. So CentOS followed by the server IP. 52 is the one. Okay. Enter. It will ask you to whether you want to add this key or not. And right. So we have enter the server. So by typing Control L, like if I want to clear all the screen right over here, by just typing Control L, I can do that on a Linux server only. Okay. So we have entered using the whoami command, we have entered which user we have logged into CentOS user. And if you want to check your IP address, it will show you the private IP over here, 172.31.37, which is this one, right? Public IPs is only for SSHing and only for connecting to your instance, while private IP will be used for any other communication within the server and between the servers of your Hadoop cluster as well. Okay, so now we have here. Let's just strictly go to the root user. Now using this particular command, sudo is for anything you want to execute using the root privileges. Su is for changing the user. Hyphen and after it nothing. So basically we want to switch to the root user, which I already have done over it. But if you like on Linux servers, if you are on a separate user and you want to switch to some other switch to the root user part, you can do that using by providing the password for it. Otherwise, you'll have to add it to the etc sudoers. There's a file known as etc sudoers, the particular user. Let me show that also. That's the next stuff. Sorry, I missed your chat. We can use both public and private IP or only private? No, no, only public IP. Only public when you want to SSH. Within the cluster, only private will be used. That's for the cluster communications. Yeah. Okay. So this is a etc sudoers file wherein you will have to mention which user you want to give the privilege of the sudo command. So if you want to add some other users you might create, you can give that privileges over here, and then you are good to go. Similar to what we did with the CentOS part, we just provided a sudo option and it made us the root. It gives us the root privileges. All right, that was on the Linux front. So we have now successfully installed a CentOS machine, which, okay, so the requirement was for the version 7.6. Let's just check what is our CentOS version. So we have something like etc CentOS release file, and as you can see, we have a CentOS Linux release version 7.6 with a minor version of 18.10. 7.6 rightly justifies our requirement for version 5.1.5x, which we're gonna use. All right, let me mention this as well. CDH version required. Previous version is this, and corresponding to it, the RHEL which were available. So we have the OS requirement is for this. Let me share this doc. OS requirement of this, and the Linux instance we have has a version. We have a version of this. So this rightly justifies what we need for the CentOS 15.15x versions, the 7.6 release, which is the latest one. All right. So this part is clear. We have the basic requirements done. Let's just quickly move. Okay, all right, yeah. Let's just quickly move to the. Okay, yes, it's fine. This is basically my known host file wherein I have entered that particular public IP. So whenever you SSH to any server, its IP and its host name and user is basically the SHA file is entered to your etc host. So this is a little like not okay. So we are done with this part, prerequisite part. Now let's just go on and install, like make a local CDH repository. All right. So before making a local repository, what is the need of making a local repository? The point is, everything you want to install in a Linux, there is a repo for it, which is communicated by yum. So yum is a repo wherein you can any package that you want to install. Like for example, I might not be this being a new like installation of Linux, we might not be having a wget command over here. If I want to install wget, what will I'll do is yum install wget. What this will do is it will check the yum repository for this particular package. It is first like updating its packages. Now it's saying me it's time to install wget for this x86. It's basically a 64-bit version, and this is a particular version of the wget command. This is the size of it. So now it's giving me the option whether you want to install it or not. So by using it, I just have installed the wget. Now if I do a wget, it gives me an option to provide some other things also. So the point I want to discuss is basically we have for everything installation on the installation front, we have a yum, the magical word yum, wherein anything which is missing on your server, you just have to do a yum install and that particular package name. All right, but there can be certain scenarios or certain organizations like one which is wherein I work in. So we don't have any internet connections on our servers. Now, how do you check if you have an internet connection or not? You just need to do a ping to, let's say, google.com or any other public websites. You see, the Google, we are sending a ping to Google and Google is replying us back with a 64 bytes of response. This shows that the internet is like available, but on certain organizations, you don't have this facility available. So on those cases, Yum is not gonna contact the real-time servers or the real-time repository. In those scenarios, you definitely have to create this particular thing, set up a local CDH and CM and Cloudera Manager repository. That's why this is included over here, and this is also a requirement when you prepare for the Cloudera like Cloudera certification examinations as well. Okay. So how do you actually do it? So two requirements. One is the HTTP. Sorry, HTTPD service is basically required for it. Second, so let's just write it down over here as well. The requirements. HTTPD service. So let's just check whether we have our service available or not. So you have something from command like service, then the particular service you want to check for, and then whether it's you want to start it or you want to check the status of it. So let's just do a status. Now you see when we do service HTTPD status command, it's giving me HTTPD service cannot be found. This basically shows that we actually don't have any HTTPD package installed. So what we are going to use that magical word yum install HTTPD, and it will go to contact the central server and install the package we require over here. These are basic dependencies for HTTPD, which is required by this service HTTPD. After this is installed, now when you do a service status, it will say the HTTPD is actually inactive or has not been started. So let's start it with the same command, service HTTPD start. Now again check the status of it, and it shows us it is running. Okay, so we have made the first requirement of HTTPD. Now the basic directory that HTTPD looks into is this one, where www HTML. So this is the directory that HTTPD looks for whenever it is asked for. So what is basically HTTPD is nothing but it gives you UI access, like UI representation of your server. For anything related to the UI or on the server SSH stuff, we always need a public IP. So public IP, if you type over here, you will see a HTTP page, Apache HTTPD server. So this is basically a service running on our server, and we are able to access it on our browser as well. Okay, just think it that way. Now in this, since we have nothing in this directory, we are going to see nothing over on the browser part. But if I make a directory over here now, mkdir is the command to make directory on Linux. So let's make a directory for Cloudera Manager. We have made a Cloudera Manager directory. Now if I do slash cm, you'll see that a directory structure is available on the UI part. Okay, so we have made a CM directory. Now, for the more steps related to creation of local directory, we have done the HTTP part. We now need the packages we need. We don't like we need for the Cloudera Manager installation. This particular URL will be helpful for that. Okay, so it's been nothing but CM5 archive directory. When you don't have a local repository setup done and you do a yum install, you need to still make a repo, Cloudera repo, which I'm going to show you for this local directory installation as well. But in that case, what that repo does is it contacts this URL only. This URL is going to contact every time you do an installation on each of your node. Now consider a scenario wherein you have thousands of nodes. In certain organizations, you have 1,000 or 2,000 Linux server, and every time you need to install a Cloudera Manager or Cloudera Manager repo, every time it's going to go on this URL, download the repo data and the RPMs, which is around this particular RPM would cost us 751 MBs. So on those 1,000 servers, it's always going to take a lot of internet costing and everything, networking stuff, right? So you want to save that part. That's why CDH local repository will be helpful. Wherein all this stuff that is available over on this particular URL, we are actually going to make it available on our own server URL, which is free of cost. You have installed a service of Apache, you have started it. You don't need to contact every time the archive directory. Okay, that is also like if somebody asks you why do you need a CDH local repository, so two requirements: you don't need to contact the archive directory every time, and it's easily available, easily accessible by all your VPC and all your servers which are on the same network. Okay, so we these are like the basic all those directories that we need. We mostly need the RPMs and the repo data part. So we are going to download all these stuff in our Linux server. We already made a CM directory, right? After CM, probably we need a something like X 5.152 and X. So that's why we have made. Let's go to the CM first and make 3 more directories into it. Okay. So the basically this 3 directories and the corresponding architecture, you cannot skip that because the repo data over here mentions certain basic requirements. If you go in the repo data of this repo, the file list and the wherein the particular folders can be found and everything is basically mentioned. So the architecture of it, the directories required for it should always be mentioned in this scenario. The release version after then X864 must always be mentioned in the RPMs folder when you talk of, but in the repo data you can directly place those files. Okay, so we were going to download the RPM stuff. Now we are going to download basically all these things in our own repo over here, and you actually need a wget. So wget is basically when contacting the any HTTP or any like package you want to download. So you can use wget on Linux. So all these URLs which are mentioned over here, right? I have already made a copy of it in here. Let me share this tab here as well. Right. Yeah. So after you make those directories, these particular directories, you have to then get into the x864. Once you are here, you need to download. W gets all these packages, these RPMs. Nothing but do this. You see the download is done. If you do an ls over here now, you see that package is downloaded. Similarly, you need all the other packages as well. So this is nothing but the URL you can fetch from this part by right clicking and copying the URL part. Like for this stuff, if I do copy the URL, type wget space the URL, and it will make that particular package available. Now you can see we have Cloudera Manager, daemons, agent, server, server DB, and enterprises. Similarly, like it was available on the archive folder. Agent, daemon, server, server DB, enterprise. These are two basically JDKs. We might not need them because JDKs are we can directly download from the Yum repository as well. All right. Okay. So once we are through with it, we have actually made a local repository just similar to what we had over here. We have now in this part in our local server as well. 5.2 RPMs, x864, and all those packages are now shown on our own server. We don't need to contact the other server. Okay. So this way we have done this. Now, once you are through with it, so this was basically in this folder. So RPMs are available. Now we need another folder which is double dot is basically going for run directory just before it. We also need a repo data directory just like we have over here. So repo data, CM repo data, and repo in the repo data directly the packages are available. So I'm gonna make the repo data part and then go directly into it. So now I'm into the repo data. Let's just wget all these things. So nothing but copy the URL and wget it. I have already made it available. So even if you like copy it all and paste it on the Linux part, right? It is automatically gonna run it step by step, right? So now we have all those repo data and things available in here. You can check it on this part as well. Guys, any doubts still like till now in terms of creating local repo data? Cool. Okay, good. All right. Who else has joined? Who is this T?
Hey Sal, this is me. I'm just here. So.
Okay, sure. Okay. All right. So we are done with the local repository creation part. All right. Now, let's just talk about the other installation stuff. I think I've already copied it. No, I didn't copy it on this stuff. All right. Now, when you're through with it, now you have to go to a directory which is basically etc/yum.repos.d. So when you talk of yum, right, yum, that magical tool, has to be shown the direction where it should search for all those packages, right? So in this directory, we have already available certain repos, which is like made available defaultly by the CentOS itself. So whenever you type anything for yum install, right, it actually goes to this, check this repo to see what is the URL it should search for. Herein you can see certain URLs are already available. So it goes to that URL, search for that package, and then install it on your server. This is how yum works, right? So when we talk of our own, like the repository that we created, the URL that we created over here, we have to specify our server that where it should look for the Cloudera Manager, Cloudera servers for, right? So let's just create something like cm.repo. All right. Whenever I go enter the VI editor, it changes my font color. I don't know why. Okay. Now when you check over here, every repo should be given certain. It's like certain things you should mention in the repo. First one is the repo name. Let's just first copy it over here. All right. All right. So first is basically the repo name, which we have already like also mentioned in the name section. This is a comment. For anything commenting, you can write in the repo thing is, and the base URL is the URL where your repo is going to search for your packages and stuff. Now you can like think over here we were using the public IP because we are using it on our browser. But when it comes to the repo to the server part, you're going to use the private IP. This is like a different IP I already mentioned. You can check your private IPs from here as well. 31, 37, 182, 31, 37, 182, 31, 37. Okay, let's just change it to 37, 182, 37, 182. All right, we need something like the RPM stuff as well. RPM JPG check. RPM JPG check. We can get. Have it. Yeah. We can get the RPM JPG check from here. So this is nothing but it's a hash kind of thing which verifies whether your installation is the correct one which you're trying to install. So I have already mentioned it over here, but I'm gonna download it first. So base URL, the JPG key or the part of the JPG URL, and whether you want to do a JPG check or not. If you give a 1 over here, it will actually check for the JPG key. If you give a 0, it won't check for the JPG key. Now you can use WQ to save your file. For that, let's just go back to our repo. Outside it, working directory. Outside it, over here also. Cat etc/yum repos slash. So using a tab, actually, you can hover directly to a directory. You don't need to type it all the time. You can use tab to show you the references. And cm.repo. Cat is basically appearing, so we have to copy it to the cm part. All right. CD slash. I can just directly go back to the previous directory, which happens to be changed right now. So where www. If you guys are not comfortable with the color, I can change. I can like re-log in. www.html cm part, and let's just duplicate it. Now we have the JPG key available as well. All right. All right, 5.1, 5.2. One thing is missing. Even twice. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we have like made our local repository also. Let's just copy it. All right. That is fine for the repo part. Let me just log it out. All right. Okay. So we have made a repo. Repos.tcm.repo. Right. Now you just have to do a yum when we talk about the installation of the Cloudera Manager part. This part is done. OS level configuration for Hadoop. So basically, when you talk of anything in the production stuff, right, you have to do some OS level configuration as well. I think Opubai has a document wherein he mentioned 2 or 3 things. Let me just show you that or two. Share the demo. So these basic performance OS performance level configuration stuff you can check from with the Cloudera site as well, and it all depends upon your organization servers, what all you have, and what all requirements you're gonna serve over there. Like you might have certain different RHEL servers and all, so you can definitely check on the Cloudera site and check whether how you want to check with the networking stuff. I think he mentioned it. Yeah, something like this, disabling the SE Linux and disabling, making it enforce, something like this. So you can do it definitely at the time of like before installation. Also, when you going to install the CDH stuff, it will show you the other prerequisites which are missing on the UI, and then you can also come back and do that. So yeah, but knowing this stuff before in hand, definitely we're gonna save it. So we're gonna like not spend too much time in the performance OS level. Let's just go to the installation part. Once we are done with the repo creation, we just once the repo is created, just use the command. Okay, so before installing, we need a Java. We need Java onto the system. So for it, install Java stuff. When you do a Java, it basically looks for the JDK. Sorry. Right, so it's setting me to be a root. Sudo sudo so it's downloading a JDK 1.7. It's fine with it. Alright. Install the OD codec. No more mirrors to try. Why it's giving me an error. Okay, so it's basically looking for the R repo first. Let's just copy the repo in the temp. Meanwhile, we install Java at least. Okay. It's again looking Okay, I basically copied it. I need to move it. Yes. All right. So we have a Java installed now. The command to check the version for it is Java version, I guess. Right. So we have a JDK 1.8 installed. All right. So we need to have Java. Once you have Java, you can just directly go and type installation for Cloudera Manager daemons, which is nothing but this particular RPM, which is going to check from this particular RPM daemons. If you check over here, you'll see the URLs mentioning it's missing over here. So daemons, Cloudera Manager daemon stuff, right? And similarly, the agent and the server, it will automatically, the agent and the server, it will automatically install it. All right. So let's just run it. Now it's giving me no packages available because we moved. If you check etc slash yum.repos.p, we don't have any CM repo, right? So let's just copy it. We moved it to the temp. Copy it from the temp to this directory. All right. Now do we have it? Yes, we have it. Now when I do yum install, it is installing my stuff. These are basic dependencies it need, and now it's installing the daemon stuff. 5.1.5, 5.15.2 is basically what we are going to install. The version, the minor version is 0.2. It's quite simple and straightforward. The basic commands and the Linux stuff you'll definitely gonna understand as soon as you try to do all this stuff yourself. So the point is uh, I've always it's like demand should meet supply. If you demand something, like if you want to check your present working directory, you need a pwd command. So as soon as you go into it, as soon as you get your hands dirty, you would demand certain things, and you will have to look out for the supply for it. So this is how you go. Like, it's an easier way for you to learn in a short span, right? Okay. Daemon, I think, is a larger package. That's why it's taking a lot of time. Meanwhile, let me just copy all this stuff. Oh, probably I am on the upper side. No, it's installing. Okay. Is it? Okay. Meanwhile, when the Cloudera manager and the daemons are like server manager and a daemon, these three instances are being installed, you should understand one thing. So every service at the backend stores some data, right? So when you need to store data, you have to have certain databases already installed. When you talk about production environments, you always might be having a database server, something like Oracle, MySQL. Mostly these two are used. And if it's a POC or a sandbox kind of thing, you'll find like Postgres. database is already installed, and you just have to specify that particular DB's endpoints. When I talk of endpoints, basically you need a host name or the server name or the server IP, including the port and the database schema that wherein you want to store that data. Similarly, this Cloudera Manager server and all the services that we are going to install will need a database. In this particular demo front, we are not going to install a separate database. We are going to use something called an embedded database, which is something which is already provided by the Cloudera Manager, the Cloudera services. So that thing is basically called an embedded DB. I have like some reference to the documentation over here as well. This is done. This is done. Embedded DB. This is documentation for it. You can check that. Meanwhile, so we have already downloaded this package RPM in over here, I guess. Let me also mention it. So you need to have this Cloudera Manager Server DB like RPM available. Let's check if we already have it, or let's just check it from the UI only. Yeah, so we already have this server at this particular site. You can see the like complete URL stuff. So we already have a Cloudera Manager Server DB part. All right. So once you are like have that repo, you just have to do a yum install Cloudera Manager Server DB. So this is basically a embedded DB. It is an embedded. I think I don't know the spelling. Embedded DB, which Cloudera Manager is going to need. So yum install Cloudera Manager Server DB2. When we do it, and to make it like confirm that whether we are not hitting the internet, let me just show you. I think it's not appearing right now in here. Okay, but yeah, we did like show you guys when the repo was not available, it was not able to fetch that particular. Also, like do it once more. Control R move. Now, if I do it, it's not going to install. It is not able to locate our package because we haven't, copied the repo available. Now, if I do it, it will definitely install. So as you can see, when I do Cloudera Manager DB, it's basically installing a Postgres SQL server and the Postgres SQL instances. So it's basically running on a Postgres SQL. You can think of it like that. Now we have certain properties known as etc Cloudera STM server db dot db dot properties, right? So this particular file will change as soon as I start my Cloudera server. Okay, so once all these things are done, let's just first check whether our RPMs are installed. So you can do that using rpm-qa rep Cloudera. Let's see if all our Cloudera agents managed. So yes, we can see that our Cloudera Manager daemons, Manager server, server DB, and the agents all have been installed, and the RPMs are available. This particular is for finding out the RPMs. grep is basically when you do a rpm-qa, it will give you all the RPMs installed. But we are only concerned with the Cloudera RPM. So using grep, you can only grab, like only find things which are suitable for you. That's why I use grep over here. Okay, you can see the Cloudera is being highlighted because we grepped it. All right. So these things are stuff like installed. Once you are through with it, you just have to do a SCM server start. So everything else is like completed. Now we are going to do the start start SCM server. Okay. Okay, because the control process, okay, it's failed with certain error. Now, in any scenarios when something fails, right, on your server, you have to check with the logs. What is the problem? What is going down? So to do that, what you need to do is to basically, okay. So point is probably we didn't start this. Okay, first let's just go to the log and check what is the problem. Why is our server not working fine? So we have something called as var.log directory, which is a default directory for any logs related to the services you have. And over here you have a service specific directory. And in this directory, when you go, you will see certain logs available. We are more concerned with the Cloudera SCM server log. So just VI it. Log. Now using the GG, like the two typing, pressing G key on the keyboard 2 times, you comes to the top of the log, and using a shift key and G key, it goes to the bottom of the log. So we are more concerned with the bottom. You can see there's something like MySQL JDBC driver or something not being installed, which is basically because it is not able to connect to the DB, the database that we installed. Now we have, I already mentioned, so we have something like DB properties file wherein we mention the DB properties. When you have other instances like Oracle, MySQL installed, you need to specify which particular type of instance is it in this particular file, that being Oracle, Postgres or MySQL, and then you specify the host of it, including the port. When you type, when you say host, you have to specify in terms of this, the host name and the port, and the password and the user that you want to connect to the system. Now the problem with embedded is that although we installed it, although we installed this particular SCM server DB, QA, it is installed, but I think it's not started. Let's just check. That's why probably it's not able to connect to our PostgreSQL and it's failing. So service Cloudera SCM server DB status. So you can see no server is running. So we missed this particular step, which is to start it. I think I didn't copy it. All right. All right. So our server is started. Let's just check the status. All right. The server is running right now. Let's just copy it also. All right. Now when we do the server Cloudera SCM server start, I'm assuming that it's not going to get me into more trouble. Yeah. As you can see, our server has started, but it's still not going to appear on the UI. You still have to do a This time I'll do a tail over the logs. So what tail does is basically it, real time fetches the log, whatever is, printing into that log stuff. So if I do a tail, right, you see the log is being written and also being shown. Only I do a hyphen 10f. So basically it will show me the 10 lines only. Now I can see something like started the Jetty server. Now, and it's running on port 7180. Whenever you see something like 0.00.0.0, it basically means global IPs. So it's accessible to all the global IPs. But since we have restricted it only to, my IP to access it, when you go to this on this particular stuff, you'll see. So we have like successfully installed our Cloudera Manager. All right. Now whatever IP, like whatever you have to add in, like enter using admin user and the admin being the password. Once you logged into it, let me first write all this stuff over here. Okay, so we are done with it. Now, so we have like installed our Cloudera Manager. Let's go to the other steps. Some basic requirements. They are some licensing stuff is there. Then you have 3 versions available. Cloudera Express, Enterprise. Okay, before that, are you guys comfortable? Do you have any doubts? You can just shoot in right now. Anything you are like confused of, you want to know? Guys, a quick acknowledgement of if you are comfortable and we can like move further. Good. Okay. Ishan and Neon Sapir also. Okay. All right. So we have 3 versions over here. One is 60 days of one is free, one is 60 days, one is an annual subscription which you probably need to buy. So we can compare that. We can do it with a 60-day trial version. In future, it may only downgrade us and remove these 2 capabilities, but we can definitely use the other stuff. So let's go with it. It's giving me all those services stack which are available and can be installed over here, like Hadoop stuff of common HDFS, HBase, Uzi, Zookeeper, all these stuff. Okay. Certain other basic requirements it has already mentioned. You can go through it. Now, over here, it is basically asking me to specify other host which I want to enter. Also, I need to mention this particular host as well over here. Since we are not going to add any host further today, let's just only install host name. So this is a command to check your host name. If you do a -f, it will give you the host name, which is also present in the etc host file. So in the etc, sorry, host name hostname file. So this is basically which you can do with the hostname-f command, or you can do a cat etc hostname to check. If you want to specify your IP addresses, you can do it using hostname-i. I'm going to specify the IP addresses because this is way too long for me to, you know, it would mess up my mind. So I'm going to use IP addresses. Sorry. So when I click a search over here, it will search, and once it finds it, you see it's currently not being managed. So when it says currently not being managed, is basically the Cloudera agent. So we already installed the Cloudera server on this host, but we would like to have a Cloudera agent as well. So that's why it's showing no over here. When we do continue, it will take me to the CDH installation stuff right over here. But I think since like most of the people have not joined, we should not go ahead with the CDH stuff and installation part. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and create the repos and all. So this particular stuff we can discuss in a subsequent class on Tuesday and go ahead with that. All right. So in the first topic, we just have two more things. One is installing CDH cluster, which is going to take some time. It also involves creating the local repo for the CDH part, for the CDH parcels part. And once we have done with that, we the node that I recently added in this particular step. This is nothing but adding a host. So this is what we did. We're going to do over here as well. But in that case, we are going to create a new EC2 instance, right? Just like we have created this one, and we are going to add it to our cluster using this UI itself. Okay, and so similar page will be shown. We have to just mention it might be having some other UI, the other IP address for the other host. We just need to mention that, and we can go ahead with that. All right. So I think we can call off a class right now. If you guys have problems or any questions in anything, you can just take a look back at this document. Let me just share. Let me just check give you a summary of what all we did. So first of all, we installed an AWS instance of this particular AMI. You can search it. You can install any other CentOS as well, but I've been using it, so that's fine. And the type of it was 2.x large because it provided me 4 virtual cores and 16 GB RAM. And it's since the networking stuff is a little slow, which is easily comfortable for us. Although we were able to download an 800 MB to 2 GB file within certain seconds only, so it's fine with us, I guess. And it's going to cost us something like $0.20 per hour. So when I talk of per hour costing, it is basically per instance, per hour, per instance, when it's in running state. So running state, when I say, it's basically, so this instance for me is in running state right now, and this is a stop. So this will not gonna cost me anything. Only the drive, the storage that I apply to this instance will cost me, but it would be very minimal. But a running instance will definitely cost me something like this, $0.2 per hour. So you have to switch it off if you still don't want your bills to be running. So definitely, once you are done with it, I'm going to stop it right now. And if you want to see what all time you have already spent, so over here, if I see I started it at 7:26. In the next, after 1 minute, it will definitely cost me more than 1 hour. So even if I cross 1 minute out of it, right? So it will definitely going to cost me. So let's just stop it right now for me to save money. Yeah.
Great. I'll just chime in real quick here.
Yeah.
So this is very important. You guys should, make
Right.
the AWS account as soon as possible. It's very cheap. It's very convenient, and you will need it in your work life. So it's if you get time today, I'll suggest you before you forget, just create an account and make yourself a habit of going there and practicing it, and whatever the work style is showing you, doing over and over again to get good at it.
Right. So
Yeah,
this
so
is this.
it costs less, so
Yeah.
you don't need to worry about the cost at all, as long as you are can stop it on time and don't overuse it, or don't stop it after you use it. So yeah.
Right. Right. Thanks. So that's something that Kareem like rightly mentioned. So you have to just think of like stopping it once you have done with it. If you're gonna leave it, it's definitely like keeps on adding to your cost. So controlled in used in a controlled manner, it's a very great tool. The AWS stuff. It will give you a lot of POCs things you can do it over here. And this is just one like the one service stack that we have used so far, which is EC2. You have a lot of services and a lot of interesting things to play with, but yeah, it's definitely going to cost you something, so you just be like aware of that, and then you can go ahead. All right, so this is the like main story regarding today's class. We made this particular instance. We use a CM version. CM version this. We had checked for our CentOS release to be compatible, which is available on this document, what all CentOS you need. After that, we created a local repository, which is nothing but installing the HTTPD service, making certain directories, getting certain RPMs. So all this is basically when if you get like uh, you want to create a repo for some other thing, like if you want to install Ambari repo, so you'll have to get the RPMs for that particular Ambari thing. If you are working in an organization which still have HDP, right? So the basic steps are always going to be the same. Only the repos and the RPMs are going to change, and you just can accommodate that. So we made a repo for like for the RPM folder, then we made a repo data folder. We copy those files. Then we make a CM repo in our etcm repos D. We mentioned the particular URL of the HTTPD service we installed. Once we are done with it, we checked. You should check for the OS level configurations. I made like other things were like comfortable. In future, probably if I get into a trouble, I'll definitely fix it. But since we don't have enough time today, and in the classes that we meet, so you will have to like check it up on whenever you install it. Just give it like some time. Yeah, go to the Cloudera documentation, something like this. Cloudera has beautiful documentations for every stuff. It is something over here. If you can see, this is the basic requirements before you install. You can see, right? So before you install, all these requirements should be managed. So whenever you install it, just give it a look and check whether you are able to understand it and comply with it. Okay, so once we do that, we install Java, which is the basic requirement as well for the Cloudera Manager and the agents. After that, since our repo was in place, we installed our Cloudera Manager daemons, agent, and the server. To run it on a database, we installed an embedded database. We started it, and then we started our Cloudera SCM server, which gave us this beautiful UI or all the things to be managed on a button click stuff. Once you get that, in the next classes and the subsequent classes, we're going to add more nodes to it, and we are going to do with the rest of the part of the curriculum. Okay, so thank you. If you others like still have any questions, I'm still going to give you like 2 more minutes, and then we're going to wind up. So the homework, if I talk of, you have to create all these things that I did in this particular class. You have to practice it, make an account like Kareem also mentioned. Make an AWS account, make an instance, copy, do all this stuff, get yourself ready, and you can even move ahead in the steps in the curriculum that I mentioned of installing a CDH. If you can do that on your own, even that's good. Otherwise, we're going to cover it in the next class also. Yeah. Any questions, guys?
When will be the next class?
So I have planned it for like Tuesday 9 p.m. and in all the like we have Kareem also like mentioned. So Saturdays it would be 9 a.m. And Tuesdays 9 p.m. EST.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All good. Ishan.
Yeah, all good for today.
Okay, I didn't hear anything from him. He's been writing all this stuff.
Yeah, all good.
All good.
Everything good.
Okay. All right, then let's wind up this up and let's meet in the next class. Thank you for joining, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
See you
Tasin
then.
bhai. Tasin bhai, are you here?
তাসিম ভাই মনে বাইরে গেছিল ইয়াসিন ভাই
Oh, okay ভাই ওই যে রেকর্ডিংটা পাঠানোর জন্য আর কি তো
No, I'm here. I'll send it to you. Ishan,
জি ভাই
I'm gonna send it to you as soon as possible. It's recording right now. We're gonna share it on the. I think we share it on Google Drive, so we'll do that. Okay, we'll talk after the session. Thanks. Bye.
all right
Let's
Okay, bye.
disconnect. Bye.